Hi, everybody. It's Ann Hofferberg with the Beyond Addiction podcast from Gulf Breeze. And today we're speaking with a therapist from GBR called Aggie. Hi, Aggie. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good to see
It's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
you. You're welcome. Why don't we just start with your background? What brought, where you were before you came to Gulf Breeze and your background so everybody knows.
Okay, so I kind of have like a very mixed, unique background when it comes to mental health. I've been in the mental health field since '05. I started in pediatrics. Actually, it's kind of funny. The little teeny preschool family intervention, and did a lot of school-based behavioral health after that, and actually ended up in Philadelphia doing mobile stuff and court systems with adoptive children and foster care, and a lot of addiction there. So we did a lot of family work in addiction, just trying to stabilize and ground, and did a little bit of military work after that, and then ended up in GBR about 10 years ago, where the clinical modality is so different from all the other modalities I used. And to be honest, it's been like a really nice like landing nest where, this facility allows you the flexibility to branch out, and it's a really holistic, individual based approach. So it's really exciting for us. I can really nerd out on this clinically, because you kind of get to be a free spirit clinically, and because you get to meet the person's needs in the moment, which was really restricting in my previous experiences. Like I was very limited to cognitive behavioral health or psychoanalytical, approaches, and it was very, this cookie has to fit. This cookie piece has to fit. And it's not like that here. So it's really liberating and nice. And I've been here for 10 years, so I like it.
So evidently it's working for you. What what made you want to do this kind of therapy for, rehab? What provided you stimulation to do that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I kind of fell into this position. I moved here to Florida just by chance because of my husband's work, and it was like very serendipitous. It was like kind of called here. I had no employment, just searching around, just kind of trying to trust my gut to land somewhere. And this is a funny story. I went out to lunch. We didn't have internet. We had just moved, and we were looking to see the Eagles game. So we're Eagles fans, and anyone from up north. And we didn't have internet. We're like, oh, where can we see this Eagles game? So we went out to a restaurant, and here comes like 50 Eagles fans into this restaurant. And we were like, oh my gosh, yay! And so we started talking, and one of the ladies worked at GBR. And she's like, oh my gosh, she's like, I work in this awesome place. I love it. It's like a family. Let me get your resume. And I said, this is so wonderful. I said, absolutely. I sent it over. And at the time, our clinical director, Debbie, who I still talk to because it's like a family. And she was like, we're not hiring, but let me just take it. I'm like, oh, womp womp. But then like 3 months later, interview, she hired me on the spot, and it's been ever since I've been here. So it's just such a funny story. I just landed here. And what kept me here was the fact that even though I had a little bit of, substance use experience, it wasn't my specialty. I really kind of specialized in trauma. And what is wonderful about this place is you don't focus on what's wrong, right? You focus on how do we thrive? This is where I get nerded out and I get really excited. How do you enjoy life again? Because people with substance use or any kind of addiction, whether it's your phone, whether it's whatever, it's like we're trying to escape something. We are trying to start feeling a certain way, to stop feeling a certain way, or to feel nothing. And you're not enjoying life. And so the wonderful thing about this place is we are opening up the door for how do you thrive? How do you heal? And it's like, they say recovery, right? You're recovering yourself. You are getting stronger. So this place really, really attracted me. And this, you can see how passionate I am. I'm like really get excited about it. But we teach people how to live, right? And so it's like you regain this sense of life, and and all our counselors here are super passionate about it. You come here and you just see it, you feel it, and it's a family, and we're all very dedicated to this. But what keeps me here for 10 years is that I get to do trauma work. I get to, the people have outings, they get to practice being in the community and come back and talk about it. We have family sessions. So you do family work, you do trauma work. I do EMDR. It's a modality for treating trauma. I get to do, yoga, mindfulness, meditation. I get to help people ground. I get to do group therapy. I do trauma group, and we do split groups with male and female sometimes. Sometimes we do a big group for everyone, and we do like a psychoeducational group or a trauma-informed group. And so as a counselor, I get to do like a lot of cool things. I'm not just stuck in the box, which I felt like, a lot of modalities can kind of leave you there, which is nothing wrong with that. We each have our passion, but this allows you to be who you are as a clinician, and then tweak that to be more individualized for people, which is exciting. I get really excited about that.
Yes, I could. But the thing is that you're describing you not being in a box, and what I'm hearing is that the guest isn't stuck in a box then either.
No, that's the coolest part. Like we've had people actually from all over the world, believe it or not. We've had people from outside of the US come, and there's so many different cultures, and there's so many different, political orientations and religious orientations, and, trauma backgrounds and childhood backgrounds. And, you have to be flexible, and for it to work, like the counselors have to be different. And the cool thing is we're all so different. It's kind of exciting. Like we all have our own specialties, and we all have our little things, and we all get to shine in a different area. And when the guests come in, when the guests come in, they get to feel that. I think it's because it's so unique and organized in a way that makes sense. Like there's different counselors teaching groups. So you don't have just like one person. You have like more of a meditation counselor, and you have more of a family therapy systems counselor that teaches one, and you get all the mix, which is really exciting. So they get a lot of diversity.
You're right. Those of us who have not been involved in actual recovery, but we still hear those words that you're broken, that you're diseased, that you'll never be yourself again. And you're not saying.
It's so far from the truth. It's like here's the thing. It's so interesting. It's like when you look at humanity. So what we do here, like the three principles is really based on teaching the human experience. We're all human, we're human beings. And so what the beautiful thing about what we teach here is that you have everything you need inside of you. And I know that's hard to hear for a lot of people, because when they come in here, they may feel broken because everyone has told them, and sometimes they're family members. Sometimes the people that have loved them the most have told them, you're a mess. You can never, be happy without substances. And they start to believe that because they feel like they can't function without that certain thing. But all of us, human beings, all of us have something, right? And if we're not taught this from a young child, we start to rely on things, whether it's shopping, whether it's our phone. Some people, try to use healthy outlets, and they over exercise, or they have to have something outside of themselves to feel complete or healthy or happy, or, they go to alcohol, or they go to a different substance to cope, right? And so they start to feel broken. And what the beautiful thing is about here is they start to get that foundation of the human experience. They start to learn about, well, wait a second. I'm doing a lot of thinking that's negative. Oh my gosh, wait a second. I have a lot of trauma. I have trauma responses. Some people don't even know what that is. Like they react for a certain reason. Your brain is wired a certain way, and trauma changes that. And when people start to see, oh my gosh, of course I think like that, or of course I would act like that or react like that. It's a trauma response. Like my brain is trying to save and protect me. And it worked as a child, or it worked as a young adult, or it worked after the traumatic event until it didn't. And it's not that you're broken. It's just that you need love. You need a little love. You need a little education on how the brain works, how your neural networks are wired, how the human experience functions, how thought works. And once you start to see the pieces align, you realize you're like, I'm a human. I have everything I need inside me. And you start to lean on that. Because when people have trauma, they don't even trust their gut and themselves. And that's scary because they function on fear. They function on fight or flight, raw emotions, and that is so stimulating that they need to numb. And and then you start to go, of course you're drinking, or of course you're using a substance, or of course you're working out too much. Life is challenging. The human emotion is challenging until you get to know how it works. And then it becomes manageable, little bite-sized pieces of knowledge and insight. And then people go, oh my gosh, wait a second. This is exciting. And they start to get that grounding, that foundation of going, I'm an awesome human being. My body was really resourceful and I just didn't understand how it worked, because your body saves you. And so it will do crazy things in order to keep you safe. But if you don't understand what that safety is, it looks like dissociation, it looks like PTSD, but it's really fascinating once guests learn a little bit about themselves, that they can go, this makes sense. I'm actually whole. I actually can have a better relationship with my trauma. We can't erase trauma. I wish we could. But what we can do is teach people how to have a better relationship with trauma, with their body, with their thoughts, with community and connection. So it's super exciting work. Never gets old. Never gets old.
Yeah, but you're hitting on something. I started working Barnett 10 years ago as well. And say, what are the tools that you give? And he'd tell me, no, we don't give people tools. They have the tools. We just reintroduce them. And it was a lot for me. And when you're born, and then once I said, you're born just fine. And then something happens, and it can be called trauma. And you come up with a very innocent way that works, like you said, until it doesn't. So it has to be very exciting for you to be able to take that trauma knowledge and now apply it to this reading.
It's amazing when you start to educate people on how the brain works and how trauma works and how it literally physically changes your body and your mind. We don't even realize that there's even a book called, Body Keeps Score. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it talks about how trauma and it manifests in the body. So people have chronic stomach aches and they walk around with migraines and they feel incomplete in so many ways. Like some people have, reflux and they get dizzy a lot. And some people have, just various ailments that you've never even realized were connected to trauma. And so it shows you how much of a sponge we are as human beings. We take in emotional energy from our children, from our spouses, from our loved ones, just basic life. And then you throw on trauma, and you throw on work, and you throw on relationship issues, and you throw on grief and loss. And individuals, if they don't have healthy outlets, or they don't have the spiritual education, I call it spiritual education, but if they don't really understand the human experience, something that we have, like you mentioned in the beginning, from the moment we were born, we have this wisdom, we have this ability to navigate the world through this thing that's like, it's not your personal thought, it's your wisdom. Right. And we often, as children, we navigate from that. We're like very moment to moment. We're like, I fell down, I cried, my lollipop was on the floor, I realized it's okay. And then I can be happy again. And so somewhere along the way, we lose that. and we get more complex and we get more analytical. We get really hard on ourselves, and a lot of negative thought creeps in, and we try to motivate ourselves through fear tactics. And, you should be doing this, Aggie, you're better than this. And you got to get it together. And instead of using love and compassion. So that's another thing we teach is self-compassion. We teach the repair work with self. So not only repairing, for instance, your relationship with your spouse or your child, but how do you, repair the relationship with yourself? Because there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of feelings of disconnect. People don't even know how to get out of the personal thought and into their wisdom. And that's that thing that we teach about. We don't need tools. We have everything we need inside of us, right? But to listen to that voice, it takes some time to slow all that thought down, to kind of get grounded and to be able to hear that. And when you're in a trauma response state, everything is sometimes can be fight or flight or fawn. People kind of dissociate, or they have panic attacks, or, it's very difficult to get grounded. And so that's another thing. That's why meditation is so helpful too. We do a lot of meditation here. We do a lot of grounding work. We teach a lot of resources in terms of that to help people be able to get quiet enough to listen to that inner tool that Barnett talks about that we have naturally within us. But it takes a little bit of time to get there. It's really exciting though to think about that, right? It's very portable, the self.
The other thing I wanted to discuss was the whole concept of detox. I think people are very concerned at all about that. And if you could help us understand what that experience is like in Gulf Breeze recovery.
It's actually kind of unique, to be honest with you, because this is a family facility. It's really a lot of, like I mentioned before, a lot of love coming in here. And I know if I was to detox, I would be terrified. People come in here very scared. What is it going to look like? Am I going to feel comfortable? Is this going to be painful? It's scary. I'm not with my family, right? And so the nice thing about our detox is it's small. And so you have that surrounded care. You know what I mean? It's like you have your nurse right there. She's in the office, and we have the sweetest nurses. We really have like a really good team. They're like moms and dads. And so even if we're not feeling good, we go in there, we're like, hey, I'm not feeling good. If you need that hug. But like our team is really good. So it's like you have like moms and dads, they all have family members. We all know that we all don't feel well at a certain time. And when you don't feel well, you're not your shiniest. Right? So, but not only do you have the medical staff, you have support staff that's always there if you need food. Food is served for you. We have a chef. We have 2 chefs. So like we have super yummy food all the time and snacks. So like they get lots of that, and if they need anything special, like there's always like the nurses go above and beyond, and you'll get that medical care. You also have counselors too. So you'll see when you're in detox, you have a counselor check on you at least once a day. More if you want, but sometimes you just want to relax. They have the facility, but they have the care. So like you can go outside, a nurse will help you or staff will help you make sure you're safe to go out there if you want to smoke a cigarette or you want to just get a little sunshine on your face. Because, you're in there, sometimes you're not feeling your shiniest, you're not feeling well, lots of fluids. I mean, detox it's really lovely here. It's a beautiful facility. You have your own room. It's private. You have TV if you'd like to just kind of snuggle in. We make it cold. So, because, a lot of times people are hot. It's overwhelming. There's anxiety. You get to see the doctor. You have medical care. You have the clinical care at the same time. It's really a nice umbrella of care.
What do you rely on most when you're working with a guest? Is it when you're doing your one-on-one? How do you determine what that guest needs the most? Does the guest tell you, or do you figure it out?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that's the beautiful part about what we do here. It's that it goes both ways. Like our clients, our guests have a voice. So they may come in and they may be really excited about EMDR, and they may say, hey, I've heard a lot, I read about it. I want to learn more. Can we try it? I would then assess them and say, hey, I would give them a brochure, give them some psychoeducation about it, make sure that they know exactly what it entails, and then kind of dive in if they're ready. So it's super exciting. They have a lot to say in their treatment. Like some people are, they really don't want to do family sessions. Some people are really excited to do family sessions, right? So it really depends on, the trauma that the person has, what they're open to, what they're excited about, what they're really scared about. It's a lot of psychoeducation. It's a really big team approach. Like, when you think of treatment elsewhere, I think I always think of in the places that I worked, it was very much like the counselor has to decide this is the modality that, the counselor doesn't even get to decide the modality. This is what you're going to do, counselor, and client, you have to sit here and good luck. You're a team. But it wasn't really a team. Here it's like, I feel like the clients, the guests, they get to experience being more in charge of their treatment. They have a say. You guys get to choose that. It's so beautiful. Like, I feel like when people really jump in and they get more comfortable in the therapeutic environment, you have this therapeutic bond that's so beautiful and strong, and there's trust that can be built, because a lot of people, they don't trust anyone. They came from traumatic experiences. They can't trust their family members. They can't trust their friends. And now they're sitting in a room across from a stranger going, I want to get better. I desperately want to get better, but I don't even trust myself. And so what's exciting here is that you don't have to do that alone. Like, you can share this experience. I'm not going to tell you this is what you need to do. I'm going to say, what do you need? What do you want to get? Where do you want to go? If you could, how can we get you to thrive? And so it's super exciting. And you can see them over time throughout a few sessions get super excited about health. They start eating better. They start working out here. We have pretty cool machines. Like, they can work out, they can do yoga. All of a sudden they're wearing, they're getting out of their pajamas and they're putting on clothes and they're doing group and participating. So I think it's really exciting is that it's a team approach, even in individual sessions, right? It's like they get to choose, like, how invested do I want to be? They always have a choice. And so it makes it exciting to see them choose and then them follow through and then just take it by the horns and just go. It's really exciting.
You mentioned the family sessions. Can you expand on that for me? What is a family session?
So we offer family sessions here. It's really important for, especially towards, the end when the guest has, found themselves a lot. They've done some work. They learned about boundaries. They learned about healthy communication. Some of them have become more assertive in a beautiful way. They now know, oh my gosh, I realize what I need. I realize I was a people pleaser, or I realize that I don't follow through with boundaries, or I allow my children to do everything. I allow my spouse to get away with this or that, or, and then they become resilient and they have a voice and they have compassion and self-efficacy, and all of a sudden they want to share it in a healthy way. So we facilitate family sessions. It's beautiful. Like, the counselor's there. We schedule with the family, whether it's the child or the spouse or, a mother or father or both, or the family, the whole family. We've had that before many times, when people have big families. And this is a beautiful place to be able to share fears. So the family may have fears like, what does it look like when you're coming home? Do you have a plan? What can I do to support you? How can I, the family may have boundaries. So it's a really wonderful place for the guests to share, here are my boundaries. Here's where I want to work on. This is where I need support. And then the family members can go, yes, and here's here are our boundaries. And here's ways that I, want to support you, or they ask questions, how can I support you? And so, it's a really wonderful place. And you have a referee who can help mediate it, because honestly, sometimes it's difficult because sometimes family, they don't communicate in the healthiest ways. And so it gives you, an opportunity to have someone who can kind of help to guide the conversation into a more healthier dynamic. So, it's beautiful. It's really nice to see. And then you can have multiple sessions. Like we always offer one. if someone would like to have it. And if they need more, then there's more. Of course, we try to schedule it out. It's usually after the first 30 days of treatment. We try to start to talk about, hey, family sessions, discharge planning. What are your thoughts on communicating with loved ones? And really facilitating the healthiest way to discharge, because you're going home to someone. Typically, not always, but sometimes people are going home to a spouse or to children, where there may be some friction or some heartache there, or some grief and loss or whatever the situation may be. And it's really nice to navigate that so it's a little bit more smooth transitioning home.
Very good. Now, Jane, at Gulf Breeze, they pride themselves on therapy hours, and some of them are one-on-one, and some of them are in group. Can you give me kind of an overview on that?
Sure, we actually have a lot of amazing groups. So we have to, we follow all the regulations. So we have to have a certain amount of groups, and we have to have a certain amount of individual sessions, but we make it really diverse. So it's really nice. You have like morning groups. So we start around 9. So it's not too early. It's nice for people that aren't early birds. Some people like to go out and watch the sunrise in the morning and have some coffee and eat breakfast. Start at 9. We have our first group in the morning, and then we have like a nice 30-minute break. You get to go outside if you want to smoke a cigarette, or you want to throw a casting line, go fishing. It's nice when people do that. And then you come again, we have another group until 12, have lunch. Then we do reflection. We have like a nice area where we can, upstairs here on the couches, everybody kind of relaxes, reads a book. We do a little processing about the book that you read. So we have a lot of like therapeutic books, and it's a beautiful time to do, for yourself, like tap into that wisdom, read something that you would have otherwise not picked up. Get a little bit of nugget of insight, and then, you can process it with a counselor. Then there's a lot of free time. We have groups again in the evening, in between dinner. We have art therapy. The cool thing is it's really diverse. So a lot of psychoeducational classes in the mornings happen. We do also have guest speakers a lot. We have people that are like really well known in the 3 Principles community that come in usually once a week via Zoom, and kind of, the guests get to interview them, and they get to, ask questions about the human experience and kind of learn from someone that's been doing this for 30, 40 years. So we try to really, actually I scheduled them, it's kind of funny, to make sure that they have a lot of diversity. We actually have previous guests come in too, at least once a week, so people can meet people that actually done the program. Like, hey, here's my story. I actually went through what you guys went through, and here I am, sober, X amount of years later, 5, 6, 3, whatever. So people from different stages of recovery come in and kind of share their experience in GBR. We have art therapy. We have an awesome recreational therapy or therapist who takes people out in the community. So some of our groups are community-based too. So, going to dolphin cruises, or, learning how to have fun on the beach without substances. That's something that's new for people. Big. What is it like to go bowling without a drink? People are scared of that. I hear people come in all the time and like, I don't know what I even like to do anymore, because it's been 20 years since I went kayaking. Do I like kayaking? I don't even know if I can kayak. Can I get into a kayak? And so it's like, there's a lot of exploration with Noli. It's like, what can my body do now? People are very sick when they come in. And then at the end of it, sometimes they're off their blood pressure medicine. They're working out every day. They're playing volleyball outside. And it's like, they realize that they can do a lot more, because a lot of self-care was, neglected when they were using. And so the art therapy is fun. The recreational therapy is fun. Obviously we have a lot of psychoeducational classes. We have a trauma-informed group every week too, which is really nice. And it's like, whether you have trauma or not, you get to learn about it. You get to, you get to educate, because if you don't have trauma personally, you know someone that does. It's sad. It's a sad world out there where, unfortunately, that's how it is, where you either have it in some way. What's interesting too is a lot of people come in here saying, I don't have any trauma. And we sit down, I go, okay, great. And as we start talking, I'm like, that is trauma. That is a lot of trauma. And they're actually genuinely surprised. They're like, really? This is trauma? Because people think of trauma as my house blew down, or blew off, or away, or down, but maybe down. Or I lost someone I loved, or but it's anything. It could be a loss of a relationship. That's grief. You know, you know, a loss of a pet. That's trauma. You know, there's trauma looks very different. People think it's this huge, like, I have to be starving or I have to have all my needs taken away for it to be trauma, and that's not true. So they learn a lot of that in the individual sessions as well as in the trauma groups. We also break up, like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, into sometimes into different, like, small groups, whether it's like gender related, like male and female. Sometimes that's really sometimes lovely for people because they get to share trauma within, a specific group. Or we break into other little small groups, like if we have a big population of military individuals, we may have a military trauma group. So it's really depends too on what kind of population we have, and we kind of flex it, once again, very individual, based on what people may need in the moment.
Yeah, I love that because so many of the guests I've spoken to say, "How will I have fun if I'm not doing this, whatever the substance is?" When they talk about it, they start saying, "Well, actually, that's my whole day. Where am I going to get it? How am I going to get it? When am I going to get it?" That's not fun.
It's exhausting. People come in here and they're emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausted. And they feel like they can't possibly do anything because they're so exhausted. But once you take that away and you teach them about resilience and you teach them about health, and their body naturally heals. So it is going to heal in detox, and then it's going to heal with the nourishing food we have here, with the sunshine, with the, recreational therapy, with the community. So one of the amazing things too that we have here is people. People from all over the world, like guests from Florida, guests from California, guests from here, guests from Canada, guests from, and you have community. You have people that are all different, that bleed the same, cry the same, feel the same. And so you start to learn, like, I'm not alone. And people, amazing friendships are formulated here. I think that kind of is really a beautiful part of treatment, is that you build friendships here that are beautiful. Like, people are groups together and playing together and learning how to, play volleyball without substances, and going on trips and, doing group activities that, are a little bit vulnerable, which is nice. Like, leaning into that discomfort, which is scary for people, but but then they do it and they're like excited and they feel proud of themselves and they cheer each other on. And it's so amazing to see the community and each individual grow within the community. It's a really supportive place. It's just so nice.
Can you give us an example or two of a guest you worked with that you saw this manifested in this amazing change? People hear about, of course, not specific names or anything, but just an example.
Oh, there's so many. Just thinking about it, I don't know if I could pick out a few. I think, what the thing is, when you first get here, you get like a little picture in detox, and usually the people aren't feeling well, so they look very sick. And we have to click on that little button because we have the little file online that's secure, and we each know what each person's name is based on this picture, right? And they come in every day and they just look slowly just so much more healthier than this picture. And even usually right around some point, maybe after a few weeks, they're like, "Can I see my picture?" And you show them and they're like, "Oh, that's me." And I'm like, "Yeah, that was you when you first came in." And they're like, I don't even feel like the same person. And this is just like a few weeks in, and at the end, they just look so healthy, and their mind is sharp, their body is firing the right way, they're trusting their gut, they're using their voice. You just can't even pick a certain person, because I've had so many wonderful people coming here, especially those with trauma. Like, some people come in just like this shell and just really closed off and scared and unsure or angry, just angry. And they come in and they're like, "I don't even know what I want anymore. This is my last attempt to just be here." And I'm not saying here's the baseline. They just want to be here. Like they're not even shooting for the stars of normal. I just want to be here, like, drowning. And so by the end, their baseline's here. And this is where their goal was. And we look at that and I'm like, you wanted to be here and you're here, my friend. And it's like, they're so proud and they're just so astonished. And they're like, I can't believe that I set the bar so low. Because at that time, that's all that they felt that they were capable of. And how they grow and how they acquire the strength and the resiliency and the self-esteem and the self-worth, and they just blossom. And it's every person. You can ask any counselor, it's every person. You come in here and you just watch them. You just see that picture from when they came in and you look at them in a few weeks, night and day. They smile, they have a little pep in their step, they may be funny. You never realize some people are funny. They come in here, they're like grumbly, and then you're like, okay, Mr. Grumbly, and then, in a few weeks, they're firecracker, they're shooting off, they're a comedian, they're funny, they have awakened, they're social. It's amazing. And they never thought they would be like, maybe they'd come in and say, like, I don't even like people. I've had people say this. I don't like people, and I'm not going to like you. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. Let's go. And by the end of it, they were hugging. You're okay.
Very good. That was a really good example, because that picture turn is the metamorphosis, so to speak. Tell me about, mentioned the books, and I certainly have read a lot of books on Gulf Breeze. Are there some that you specifically have read that you recommend?
There's so many good ones. I really, really enjoyed, I think, the basics. I think we give the basics, and I think that's where people should start, honestly. I love The Inside Out Revolution. It's a really good one. Here's what I tell people. You know what's funny? I tell people, there's so many books people are going to recommend, and then you're going to pick it up and you're going to be super excited. I've actually picked up The Alchemist. I think I was so excited to read this book. It's one of the good ones. And I picked it up and I went to the beach with my husband, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to get into this book. I finally have some time for myself. And I kept rereading and rereading and rereading it. And it's one of those books that follows like a story. So I was really like, why is this not resonating with me? And so finally, my husband was like, you always told me, if you pick up something and it's not resonating with you, just put it down. It's not meant for you in this moment. I'm like, well, wow, I guess I did say that. So I put it down. And you know what I realized? It may be the best book for me, but if it's not resonating with that individual, it's not going to resonate. And they're going to start to hate reflections. So I have a lot of clients that go, I hate reflections. I fall asleep. And I'm like, are you reading a good book? No. Well, why are you reading that book? Well, because this person told me it was good and you said it was good too, so I'm listening to it. Okay, well, time for a new book. So I always tell people, if you're reading it and you continue to read it over and over again, get a different one. It doesn't matter if you get 5 different ones, you will know when you land on the right one. And it's probably not going to be the one everybody recommended. It's really funny. And that's when I get people to really like, I found this book and it was in the library and it was the Dalai Lama's cat, which is also a good one. And it resonated and it fit, and you get excited for them because they're finally in it and they're finally getting insights because they were trying to read, a different book, like the Small Book of Big Change. That's also a good one. But maybe they were reading that one and it didn't fit, but the Dalai Lama's cat fit. So you just never kind of know. And so people get really frustrated with the reading part of it. Maybe they're not a reader. Maybe that's not their hobby, right? So once they kind of like figure out that it's not about what other people say, they kind of get super excited and they find their own book. And then it kind of, then they're the ones recommending the book, right? Then they're guilty of it. Read this book. It's changed my life.
That's so funny. And it's true. There's plenty of choices. So tell me, what you want the person watching this or listening to it to really know about Gulf Breeze recovery, about the program at Gulf Breeze, about working, whatever. Tell me what you want the person listening to this to know from you specifically.
That's such a good question. I think biggest thing I would say is that you're safe. I think people don't feel safe, and they don't feel safe at home. They don't feel safe in their mind. They don't feel safe in their bodies because their bodies are betraying them. A lot of PTSD is related to their body even reacting before their thoughts. So if you hear a sound and all of a sudden someone jolts, and later their cognition catches up, like, why did I do that? Why did I just, that's embarrassing. Like, why can't my body listen to me? They don't even feel safe in their body. And so what I want them to hear is that one of the coolest things that I hear from guests over and over again is that they feel really safe here. They start to feel really safe with the counselors. We have really, really good counselors. And it's because they're experienced, which is really good. We have a really dynamic, diverse team, which is cool, so cool. But they're like really down to earth, loving people. Most of them have been here for a while. And so it's like, it's a team, it's a family. We work as a team. And so they have that safety. Like there's always someone here to talk to. Like if I'm not here, because I have set hours, right? I have a family. I need to go pick up my little daughter or something. Like if someone has a crisis or an emergency, there's always a counselor to talk to. Or we're really flexible. Like someone can call me or text me. This is a place where I hear people say, I can really feel safe here. Like I feel safe in this office. I feel safe with you. I feel safe in this program. And that community comes into play when they first get here. The guests are really kind to each other. Like they take each other under their wing. Like when a new person comes from detox and they're kind of like, oh my gosh, I have my book. I'm supposed to be here. I don't know where here is. I just got confused. I walked in a circle. Where's neurofeedback? And you have people go, hey, come here, come eat with us. Come sit down here. I'll tell you how it goes. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And like you can see the people just go, oh, okay. Here, I'll take you outside. We'll go get a cigarette. Like you really like. There's always going to be someone here to guide you. Like you're never alone. Like a staff member is going to grab you, or your counselor is going to kind of pull you, or other guests are going to kind of take you under their wing. So I think safety is the biggest theme. Like I want people to hear, like, because I hear this a lot from guests, is that this is a really nice, safe place. Like it's a very family-based place, and this is a place where you can work on trauma safely. We have a beautiful clinical team. We have trauma resources. We have group therapies. We have a variety of modalities that will fit everyone. At least one class will resonate. We're doing the lottery. At least one class is going to resonate. So you will get something. I think that's a big fear of people is like, oh my gosh, I have to leave my life. I have to leave my family. I have to leave my children or my spouse or my loved ones or my pet, for X amount of time. It's a long time, but I want to work on me and I'm worth it. But there's that tug and pull, and there's that feeling of not being safe, right? And so when they get here, I find that people start to go, oh my gosh, this is okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm safe here. Like I deserve to work on myself. I deserve to take time. I'm worth the time to sit here and heal. That's what I want people to hear.
That's wonderful. I think that's a nice place, unless there's something else that you didn't get to say that we didn't cover. I think that's a wonderful place to stop. But I want to give you the opportunity if there's something it's like, oh, I wish I'd mentioned this. Is there anything you felt like you didn't get to say that you wanted to say?
I think we kind of covered it. I feel good about it. Yeah, it was nice. It was so nice.
That was wonderful, Aggie. I really appreciate your time and your energy. And anyone looking at this knows that if you're this positive about the place you work, maybe it's the place they should be working to.
I hope so. I hope they can hear something from this because I feel like it came from the heart, and you know, just it felt really nice to share it. To be honest.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.